Welcome back, guys. My name is Patrick, and this is the Oilers Rundown. Today I'm going to be looking at the Oilers' current goalie situation, and if you're asking yourself, I feel like I've watched this video before, it's because you have. The Oilers' goalie situation still hasn't been resolved, and so here we are talking about it once again. Most of Oil Country is fed up with Mike Smith after last night's performance. It just looks like a lot of things are catching up to him. His age, injury history. He hasn't played most of the year, and when he's coming in, he doesn't look right. He looks completely off, and he hasn't been the same Mike Smith that he was last year that went on that incredible run. There's just no doubt about that. Could that Mike Smith come back? Possibly, but it's not really a chance that the Oilers can afford to take right now. This is a team that has to get into the playoffs and is expected to do some damage when it gets there. Like I've said before, I don't know if I'd call them a Stanley Cup favorite, but this team should be able to get into the playoffs and at least win a round or two. And with the current tandem that they have right now, I just don't see that happening. Mike Smith and Mikko Koskinen aren't going to get you anywhere in the playoffs. They could help you get to the playoffs, but doing something once you get there with those two guys, I just don't think is doable. I think the Oilers have to be aggressive in moving out at least one, if not both of these goaltenders before the trade deadline. Now, I know that's risky. The Oilers do have Stuart Skinner to call up, but heaven forbid, something happens to Skinner, then the Oilers are really destroying their goaltending depth real fast. They do still have Ilya Konovalov and Alex Stalock down in Bakersfield, so they do have some depth there. Not depth, I don't think that would help them come playoff time, but they do have goalies that they could put in place in case of injury. What I think they should do is bring Stuart Skinner up as a backup, but they need to go out and find a new number one goaltender for the rest of this season and at least for next season. I think Stuart Skinner is probably a couple seasons away from being ready to take on the mantle full-time in the NHL. I don't want them to rush Skinner at all. I really think Stuart Skinner is the Oilers' future, and the Oilers have to take some time with it. I know I see a lot of fans that just want Stuart Skinner called up right now, put him in, and there's no doubt Stuart Skinner has been the Oilers' best goaltender this season, but I don't know if that's really the best thing for Skinner development-wise. You don't really want to screw this guy up. This is the first legit Oilers goalie prospect that they've had in, forever. Devin Dubnyk came up, and he turned into a decent goalie. But I think Stuart Skinner definitely has the ability to be even a greater goaltender than Devin Dubnyk, so you want to take your time with this guy. You don't want to put him in a situation where he could fail. So I think the backup or 1B position is where Stuart Skinner should be for this season and next season. If the Oilers can find a way to move out both Mike Smith and Mikko Koskinen, it solves a ton of problems for this team. I don't see Mikko Koskinen as being a part of this team at all going forward. I was watching Insider Trading just before doing this video. Pierre LeBrun reporting that the New Jersey Devils are on the lookout for a goaltender. Mikko Koskinen could be absolutely perfect for what they're looking for. They got a ton of cap space. Koskinen's off the books at the end of the year. If they like Koskinen, they can probably work out a deal to re-sign him. If they don't like Koskinen, he's a free agent on July 13th. Not their problem anymore. So there's a destination right there where the Oilers could try and move Koskinen. They're looking for a goaltender. I know Koskinen has a list where he can block trades to certain teams, but I really don't know if Koskinen would really be out to block too many trades. You'd think at this point he'd probably want a fresh start, a chance to see where he could play next year. So I could see New Jersey as a destination for Koskinen, Buffalo, Arizona. But ultimately I think the Arizona Coyotes are the best fit for Mike Smith. He has a long history of playing there. He could be a mentor to their young goaltenders. He's got the rest of this year and next year at a $2.2 million cap hit, so the Coyotes aren't taking on a ton of money. So I think that's a deal that could be appealing to them. Obviously, you have to throw in a sweetener, some kind of draft pick or prospect with Smith to get the deal done, but I definitely think that's something the Oilers should pursue, and I don't think it's a far-fetched option like I mentioned in last night's Fanatic Rundown. I really think Mike Smith could end up with the Arizona Coyotes if Ken Holland and Bill Armstrong can start talking there. As far as goaltenders that the Oilers can bring in, I've done a bunch of videos on this, but I really think the main targets are Semyon Varlamov with the New York Islanders. I think he'd be a perfect fit, especially if he can get Koskinen and Smith both off the books. Go with Varlamov and Skinner next year. Varlamov could be a great mentor for Skinner, give Skinner more time to get ready. And I think by the time Varlamov's contract is up at the end of next season, you probably can hand the mantle to Stuart Skinner and find a cheaper goaltender to replace Varlamov. Short of Semyon Varlamov, obviously there's the big names out there, Marc-Andre Fleury, possibly Darcy Kemper if the Colorado Avalanche look to upgrade. There's Chris Drieger with the Seattle Kraken. He's had an off year, but a new location could revitalize him. He looked great leading up to this season, so he's definitely an option for the Oilers. He signed for this year and 2 more years at $3.5 million, so once again, another deal if they can get Smith and Koskinen off the books. Definitely something they could look at. Ville Husso, I think, would be more of a summertime option. I don't see the St. Louis Blues giving him up during the regular season, but Husso could definitely be an option come free agency, but that doesn't really help the Oilers right now because they need a goaltender that's going to help them get to the playoffs and do some damage in the playoffs. So it is a pretty limited field, but I feel the Oilers definitely have to be aggressive in finding a number one goaltender. And I really feel the Oilers should be willing to pay a high price. A first-round pick, a couple prospects. This is a problem the Oilers have been trying to solve for 3 years. It's time to solve it. Whatever it takes, get the deal done. That's where I'm at. I don't know where you guys are at. I've seen a few people asking that question on Twitter. How much are you willing to pay for a goaltender right now? Me personally, I'm willing to pay a very high price. It's been a huge problem, the biggest problem for the Oilers, and it's time to get this problem solved, whatever it takes. I also saw talk today of sending Mike Smith down for a conditioning stint with the Bakersfield Condors. Obviously, that's something that Mike Smith would have to agree to. Would Mike Smith agree to that? I kind of don't see it myself, but maybe Ken Holland can talk him into it. Send Mike Smith down for a conditioning stint, call up Skinner, and run with Koskinen and Skinner till the trade deadline possibly. One solution we could see. There are lesser-named goaltenders the Oilers could bring in, like an Anton Forsberg. Forsberg's had an excellent year with the Ottawa Senators. He's put up better numbers than both Smith and Koskinen, so Anton Forsberg is an upgrade on both of them. If you want to move both of them and run with Forsberg and Skinner for the rest of the year and see what happens, it's way less of a sure thing, obviously, but something else to try. It is a goaltender that's giving you better numbers. He's at a $900K cap hit, would give the Oilers options to do some other things at the trade deadline. If you are bringing in Forsberg, maybe you hang on to one of Smith or Koskinen and you only try to move one of them, and then you go with either Smith and Forsberg or Koskinen and Forsberg, and then you still have Skinner there as an option too, so you're kind of 3 goalies deep that way. So yeah, I don't know, guys. Just thought I'd do a video giving you my general thoughts on it, where we're at right now. Like I said, I'm willing to pay a high price right now to get a goaltender. I definitely feel this is a problem that Ken Holland has to solve prior to the trade deadline. If he hangs on to Koskinen and Smith past the deadline, hey, maybe the Oilers make the playoffs, but I think it's going to be a quick first-round exit once again if Holland keeps his hands tied and does nothing. So those are my thoughts, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If this is your first visit to the channel and you like what you see, please consider liking and subscribing for all the latest Oilers content. You've been watching the Oilers Fanatic. Thanks for being a fan. Have a great night, guys, and I'll see you soon. Take care.